Odd got the chance to speak to the one and only Ms. Dee Wallace. Dee is an internationally known actress with over 250 TV and film credits to her name, including movies such as Critters, The Howling, Cujo, and of course E.T. But Dee is also a very spiritual person, an accomplished writer, has a radio call-in show, and is a well-respected authority on self-creation. Odd and Dee talk about all of it in this interview. We hope you enjoy their chat.
Dee Wallace, what can I say? I am amazed that I actually get to speak to you. I am very much a fan, but I'm going to try and put most of that to bed so I can still remain professional. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here.
Now, you are an internationally known actress with over 250 TV and film credits to your name, including movies such as Critters, which is a personal fave, The Howling, Cujo, and of course, E.T. Get this over here because but you're also a very spiritual person, an accomplished writer, a radio call-in show to your name, as well as a well-expected authority on self-creation. How in the world do you juggle everything?
I don't know. People ask me that all the time, and I think there's two answers. I love everything I do, and I live in the moment.
Those are both good answers. That would explain it.
When you live in the moment, there's no anxiety about, oh my God, am I going to be able to handle this all? Or how am I going to do it? Or, like today I have 3 privates. I have 2 interviews, a chiropractor's appointment, and tomorrow I leave for New York to do a horror film.
I know.
So, I have a really interesting life, and I love it that way.
I fully understand that too, because I get asked the same question a lot with everything that I've got my hands in. Like, how do you manage? I just do.
Yeah,
I just do
it.
Now I know you we had to reschedule originally because I ended up catching COVID. And then I was surprised that we were able to reschedule as soon because I was told you do have 2 projects you're working on.
Yeah, I just finished one film and I leave to do another one tomorrow.
And I'm sure you can't talk about them, so we're going to move on. Everyone has an origin story, the how and the why they got into their respective fields. What is your origin story?
My mother was a very talented actress in community theater and in our church. And every Christmas and every Easter, she would do a half hour, what we would call a monologue now. And people from 4 states would come to see my mother perform. And I was about 8 years old, sitting in our little pew, and I looked around and all these adults were crying. And I thought, oh, I want to do this. I want to move people like my mommy does. And awesome. That I remember that moment like it was yesterday.
Wow. Yeah, that seems to be a common theme in a lot of the interviews that I do is somewhere some family member got them into theater and that was it. That was the spark. That
really?
Was, yeah. So you've been in a lot of my favorite TV and movie projects over the years. Which one was your favorite one so far and why?
Cujo. Absolutely Cujo. Not to do, but it's my favorite film. I just feel like I went as far as I could go, as truthfully as I could go there. And really brought that Donna and her relationship with her son and the story to life in the very best way I could. I mean, I have a lot of favorites that I've done over the years. Really, I've been so lucky to work with such great directors and do great projects. But I really kind of wear a badge of honor for Cujo.
It is a very good movie. It is, like I said earlier, one of my favorites. You are at over 500 episodes now into your radio show.
600. We just did our 600th episode.
When I wrote this, it was 500.
Yeah, probably.
What prompted you to go into radio?
Well, I think it's just part of the process of expansion. I started teaching this in my acting studio. That's where a lot of my healing work actually was specialized. And then their parents and their friends wanted to work with me. And now I'm working with people all over the world. And it became very clear at one point that I needed a platform that people all over the world could come in and touch base and get information from my channel for no cost. So that I opened it up to people who couldn't afford to do private sessions and things like that, and expand and get the word out. I mean, my intention is just to really get this information out. That's why I write my books and do my show and do the webinars and all of it.
I again can kind of see where you're coming from. I understand completely. Typically my radio show is more comedic based, but as of lately we've been doing more poignant episodes. And
I can be funny and poignant.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm learning my way. We did episode recently on Rodney King, and then this last one we did on the Tulsa massacre, and it's about information, informing. There's no divisiveness or anything like that. It's just these are history lessons that I think most people either ignore or need.
Yeah, I agree.
And so we try to teach loving one another and taking care of one another and all those liberal socialist ideas that most people hate.
Yeah, but wouldn't the world just work if we all just loved each other, respected each other, and allowed us to have our own belief systems?
Mm-hmm.
We all get so threatened when somebody believes something that we don't.
Right.
Which begs the question, then, do you really know what you believe?
True.
Because if you do and you're secure in it, you would not be threatened by somebody else's perspective.
Yep. Education and information is not the problem, the lack thereof.
Yep. I so agree.
All right, Dee, explain to me the concept of self-creation.
Well, self-creation is basically taking responsibility for creating your life and who you are. We were given free will, but with free will means you have to take the responsibility of making the choice of how you want to define yourself, the choice of the belief systems that you want to own, because it's true, as the good book and science says, as you believe, it's going to be delivered to you that way. It's kind of like the Matrix. Pick a door, any door. You can have that experience, but you have to choose what experience you want. And then the universe matches that. We are literally electrical beings. They measure our hearts through electrocardiograms, our brains through electroencephalograms. Every thought and every feeling you have has an electrical impulse that shoots out into the universe, which is, guess what? Electromagnetic. So whatever thought and feeling we are sending out as our signal, the universe is going, all right, I got to match to that. I will magnetize to that. That's sent back to us, and that increases what we call the reality of our lives.
See, I have a feeling that I am definitely going to dig the book, because I believe we're nothing more than high-tech organic computers. I don't believe in a traditional religious sense. I believe more in the theory of chaos, and that's kind of what runs the universe. If things go well, it's happenstance. We can affect it by the energy that we put out. If you put out more good energy, stands to reason more good energy comes to you, and of course the inverse. But yeah, I do believe we are in charge of our own destinies, and we can shape it however we choose.
Well, and not only our destinies, but when we keep putting out the charge of love and peace and harmony, we literally affect the rest of the creative consciousness.
Like a pebble in a pond.
We affect the whole.
Yeah. Okay. It's been said that your time on ET helped teach and shape your principles of self-creation. How so? And did anyone else get it at first?
I didn't get it at first. When I look back in retrospect, it was by no accident that I was chosen to play Mary. E.T. represents pretty much everything I teach now. Keep your heart open. Have a strong intention of where you want to get to, like home. Mm-hmm. Use and respect the people around you that can help you do that. And don't clock into fear. Hold on to your knowing of where you want to get to. So E.T. was kind of a tough shoot for me also. It challenged a lot of things from my childhood. I was brought up in a very poor family, and I was taught you should never have more than you need. And they're the rich people, we're the good people. So cut to E.T., and I'm catapulted to stardom, and I made more money than my parents ever dreamed of making in a year. And my little girl inside of me that was taught all of those limiting beliefs got scared. And I really had to, it took me years. The more and more I got into my work and my healing work, the more I understood how our little child, in a lot of ways, is running the show. Literally, what people don't understand is a child's brain, a way that they look at themselves, their self-esteem, and how they are seen in the world is locked into their brains by 8 years old.
No, that tracks.
Yeah. So we have all been building our lives around a lot of false beliefs and fears and teachings that we got from conception to 8 years old. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm telling everybody watching this, if you keep hitting the same wall, like money, go back and see what your parents taught you or what they modeled for you, especially. Yeah. All I saw in my family was struggle. You have to struggle a lot for money. And then if you make money, you're lucky.
It presents a new struggle.
You're lucky, and don't make more than you really need because God's not going to love you then. And it's just kind of BS teachings.
Well, I used to work in the mental health field. I used to work at a crisis hospital, and the one thing, it helped me work through a lot of my issues too while I was helping others. But the one thing that seemed to be a recurring theme is traumatic childhoods, trauma from childhood that was 30, 40, 50 years ago is still wreaking havoc on that adult now. Yes. Because it was undealt with.
Well, not as only is it undealt with, we use it, Christopher.
Like a crutch.
Yeah, we use it as an excuse to stay where we are.
Where we're comfortable.
Yeah. And I remember, my daughter, my husband died suddenly right before she was 7 years old. And I remember the moment she was in 9th or 10th grade and she was really acting out. And she said, well, yeah, you didn't find your father. And I got up and in her face like that. And I said, Gabrielle, you will never, ever again use your father's death to be less than who you are. So I have taught her, if I taught you something limiting, that's not yours to own, baby. We have to choose the beliefs and the thoughts and the feelings that are going to support what we want to create. And that's what I was so passionate about writing Born, because I literally spell out the formula in an easy way for everybody to understand about how to do that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I would tell my patients is you have to understand that your parents were doing the best that they could.
Yep.
That's a big thing that is hard. That's a hard pill to swallow. Your parents did the best that they could with the means and the education and the resources that they had available. Yes, their best may not have been good enough, and that's okay. It sucks, but you can't hold on to that resentment for how they treated you or how your childhood went and expect to be able to create a better life for yourself or for your children.
Exactly. And another thing that I teach is we pick our parents. So why did you pick those parents?
Explain.
Well,
please.
For example, I'll use myself. Why would I pick a father who is incredibly creative, but who becomes a severe alcoholic and kills himself? And why would I pick a mother who's very, very strong and could hold everything together? What did I need to learn? Right? Well, number one, I needed to learn I'm not a victim. And by living with a victim, I could see what I didn't want so that I could know what I did want. I wanted to know that I was honored and respected by everybody. Because, when you have a suicide in your family, it's like the biggest FU.
I understand.
Right? So I wanted to be honored and respected. I needed to learn how to honor and respect men and allow them to come forward to be an equal with me, because I never saw that. So, if you look back at your childhood and go, okay, let's say I was sexually traumatized. What does that represent? That you're used and you're not respected and you're not honored and you're not taken care of. Those are all the things that you have to decide right now that you are and that you are creating in your life. And part of my work is really interesting because it combines spirituality with brain science, which really, brain science, religion, and spirituality, they're all saying the same thing using different words. I'm convinced Christ was teaching brain science in the only language they had back then, right? Everything is energy. You learned that in 5th grade, everybody. Energy is neutral. There is no good energy. There is no evil energy. There is just energy. Energy, however, must be directed. And if you are not consciously directing your energy with your thoughts and your feelings and your beliefs, your energy will take direction from the TV, from politics, from your significant other, from limiting past beliefs that you were taught when you were little. You are in charge with your free will of directing the energy of you. And it is miraculous what happens in your life when you do that.
Well, I have to say, I'm not ashamed to say it. I was actually almost one of those big FUs to the family. I had attempted suicide at least 7 times in my life, and I made a promise to my family and myself that the 7th time, which wound me up in a nice rubber room for a little while, would be my last time. And
good for you, baby.
It invigorated me in a way that I'm still not entirely sure how or why, but it was at that point.
I can tell you why, because you made a choice. You made a clear choice that I'm worth it and I'm going to stay here.
And I wanted to help others.
That's right. And that's the first part of creation, is you have to make a choice and commit to it. And then the universe goes, all right, now we're clear. They want to go that way. Now we can play.
Yep. So can you expand a little bit about how spirituality, religion, and brain science concur with each other around creating your life?
Sure. Well, we've talked about one. As you believe, it is delivered unto you. That's in the good book. Brain science says whatever you focus on, that's what you create. It's the same thing. Or the good book also says, think only on these things: joy, love, peace, harmony. Think only on those things, because what you think about becomes the reality of your life, which is also brain science.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get up every day and go, oh my God, I'm so tired, you will give yourself more experiences of being tired. When I catch myself doing that, because I've done now 4 films since January 1st.
Good Lord.
Yeah, been a busy 2022. Now, you see, I could have accepted that belief that older women don't work that much in the business. I don't have any belief of that. I only know I love to work, and I'm going to continue to create wonderful experiences with great people in parts that I love to do. And do you know, the film that I just did, I play a grandmother who is also a witch. And I literally had the line, whether you're good or you're evil is always a choice. And I thought, no wonder this film came to me. This is what I teach. That's crazy.
That's awesome. Hey, again, I know you probably can't, but what's the name of it?
Oh, it's called The Legend of Cat Claus Mountain.
Okay.
And it's a lovely little family film. And right before that, I did a romantic comedy called Birthday Boyfriend, which was so much fun. Oh my God, I had so much fun playing that part. I mean, she was so close to me, but it was just, again, great people, a great set to work on. They paid me well. I am getting everything that, and this is the other thing I would suggest to everybody, like if you're trying to cancel that word trying, if you're intending to create a new relationship, write down everything you want in that guy or girl. And write down everything you want in that relationship. And say, okay, I'm committed to creating all these things now. And by the way, am I a match to what I just wrote down?
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of in a layman's term for those that might be listening, there's a filter on that app TikTok that gender swaps people, and it says if you don't like the male version of yourself, you need to lower your standards a little bit.
Oh, not nice. Not nice.
No, but it is funny.
It is funny, yeah.
I do have a question. This wasn't on my list, but it came into my head. Being that you are a very religious or faithful, I'm very cautious to say religious versus faithful, because religious is completely different.
My religion is love.
Yeah, but when your religion and your spirituality, with the two things there, do you find it difficult sometimes, because you have been in a lot of horror movies?
Not at all.
Is there ever a nope?
No.
Okay. You never know.
You know, I'll tell you what I do have a problem with, and I haven't done when I've had the opportunity, is some pharmaceutical ads.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Well, you know, we're hypnotized in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We are to take medicine.
I like the term brainwashed, but hypnotized.
Yeah,
works.
brainwashed, you bet. And you see, your brain thinks in pictures. So what you're doing, if you're not conscious, you're watching these pharmaceutical ads tell you what medicine, what disease you probably have, what medicine you have to take, how it's going to harm you in some way if you do take it, while they are showing you pictures of happy families and dogs. So your brain goes, oh, being sick and taking medicine makes me happy.
Yeah.
And if you're not conscious, I mean, when those ads come on, I go, thank you very much for sharing, but I create perfect health in my life.
Yeah, I go after, see, I am so anti-establishment, it's not even funny. Like, I look at the world, and I believe in past lives. I believe that I've been here before in some form, because there's a lot of things that I'm not even 40 yet, and I look at the world and I go, why are y'all doing this? Why is this important to you? Why? Well,
I can answer that.
What is it?
Because we are here to practice free will. Not only the good things that happen, but the negative things that happen.
Yeah, I just wish the other people's free will to choose those negative things didn't have such a drastic impact on the rest of us.
Well, then I would get really busy in not focusing on them and start seeing the world you want.
Yeah, I'm trying to manifest about 50 acres in the middle of nowhere and just not have to deal with society anymore.
Yes, but darling, have you ever heard the phrase, wherever you go, there you are?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So back to your earlier days and the suicides, create the peace within you.
Like I said.
And then wherever you are, create the peace, create the knowing of who you are. And you know, when I do my daily breathing meditation, I see our country, I see the United States of unity, integrity, love, and balance.
Oh yeah, we have tons of potential. We do. We have so much potential. There are so many of us that really do believe in getting along and taking care of each other.
Yep.
And it's like with everything else. People say, well, religion is bad. No, there just happens to be a handful of people who are really loud. All cops are bad. No, there just seems to be a handful of them that are really loud. It's not what it always seems. It's just, I wish the those of us that were level-headed and wanted to actually be united could get louder. to drown out the
I would
noise.
start seeing it that way, but from a place of love.
Yeah.
Because if we do UMFs, you're going to believe the way I do. Then we just become the same energy that they are.
Yeah, we become the thing that we're fighting against.
Speaking
of love, why is love so important to get what we want?
Love, according to my channel, is the most powerful creative force on earth. Well, anywhere in the universe.
You're often quoted as saying, have a love affair with the universe. Expand upon that quote, please.
Well, it's kind of what we have just been talking about. If you see a universe that's effed up, then you're going to create more of a universe that's effed up.
I forgot.
You have to choose. You have to choose the world and the universe you want, and then start seeing that. Any shrink will tell you, if you're working with a psychologist or psychiatrist in couples therapy, they'll always tell you, well, yeah, but what's good about your mate? What's positive about your mate? What can you tell me that's positive? Because if you keep seeing the negative, there's no room for you to create the experience of seeing the positive.
That's something else we talk about a lot on the show, is how our brains are wired. We're wired to focus on the negative because we're supposed to learn from it. It's like a leftover instinctual thing.
We're wired to fix things.
Yeah. And
instead of create things.
The biggest example when I catch blowback from it, like, no, we're not, or no, it's not. I'll be like, okay, I bet you right now I can ask you 5 bad things that have happened to you within the last week, and you'll be able to tell me. But if I ask you 5 good things that have happened to you over the course of your life, you're going to take forever trying to remember them. And usually they sit there and stare at me like, oh, yeah. He might be right.
Yeah. Yep.
What is your favorite story of manifesting something into your own life?
My daughter. 6 specialists told me I would never have a baby. I said, thank you for sharing, but God and I have a different plan. Took me 6 years, but I got her. She's 33 and she's my best friend.
That's great. Speaking of someone who just recently lost their mother, I'm sorry. It's nice to hear that those relationships aren't a one-off, because my mother and I, we had a rocky past. It was me trying to get past a lot of the stuff that happened when I was a kid, and then her having to accept some of the responsibility for some of the things that happened, and conversing. But eventually we did become best friends. Like, I helped my mom open up. My mom helped me settle the hell down a little bit,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to hear that, there are others out there that have that similar relationship.
Well, it's a journey, and you have to work at a relationship.
Yeah. Bourne talks a lot about the concept of the law of attraction. What does that mean to you, and what should it mean to others?
I don't like to use that term. Okay. I never use that term in
Sorry.
The law of attraction. Bourne goes way beyond the law of attraction. The law of attraction, I bet if you asked 10 of your viewers, what does that mean? They could not accurately.
You'd get 10 different answers.
Define it. Yeah. Basically, the law of attraction is whoever you are, that's what you attract.
That tracks, because I got a lot of weirdos in my friend group.
But people, they don't want to clear up who they are. They don't want to create who they are. They think it's out there somewhere, and nothing is out there. You create everything within you first. And when you're in harmony and you're in alignment with what you want finds you.
Sounds a lot like the quote by Gandhi, be the good you want to see in the world.
You bet. But does anybody, guys, we've heard it, we've heard it, we've heard it, and we've heard it. Peter Pan, think happy thoughts and you fly.
Yeah.
Right? Wizard of Oz, you had the power all along, Dorothy. E.T., keep your heart open.
Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words.
That's right. We're not doing it. I mean, I work with people, and some of these people have been with me for 2 years. And I'm going, but you're not doing it. You're hearing it, you're reading it, you're studying it, but you're not living it. And if you don't, and that's, again, why I wrote Born. It's so easy. It really is. It's easy once you know the formula, as long as you follow the formula.
Oh, yeah, because it takes way more effort and energy to be mean and nasty and spiteful to people. You got to think of ways to be mean. You got to think of actions to be spiteful against other people. Whereas if you're just good, I mean, it's effortless. It really is. You can care about somebody else without really, having to exert much energy. I again, concepts that I talk about a lot on my show and try to get through people's heads is, it doesn't take a lot. Open the door for somebody, do something nice for yourself and for someone else. Little things go a long way. And that works in marriage too. They come
back to you, guys.
Yeah.
They come back to you.
You've traveled the world helping others understand these principles about self-creation, manifesting what you desire, and improving people's lives. I'm sure you've got 100, if not 1,000,000 of them, but what is one story that sticks out more than others to you as to someone putting these practices into action?
Oh my gosh, I have so many.
I said,
Well, one of my clients, and this was when she was first beginning with me, and she wanted to move out from New York. I tell this story in a lot more detail in Born. She didn't have anybody out here. She didn't have a place to live. She didn't have a job. But she was one of those people that said, all right, I'm just going to do it the way Dee lines it out. So she sat down and she wrote out everything she wanted. And every day she would feel love around it. And she chose that she was coming out here, and she chose a date. And she was at the train station talking to the lady that she bought her paper from. And the guy next to her said, oh, well, we've got a truck. We can haul all your stuff out for you. And then she would run into somebody else and go, oh, we know somebody in California that has a condo and they're looking for somebody to rent it out. And then she was on her way out here and she got a call to detour to Arizona about a great job. And after she finished, she went, it's a great offer, but I'm creating a great job in California. She was out here. She moved into her condo. She lived there for, I think, a month and got a call to come interview for a job out in this beautiful, incredible valley up in Ojai. Everything just came to her because she was clear about what she wanted to create. I mean, I went into 2022 and I said, look, universe, I am choosing and committing to create to a great year. I want to do a lot of jobs with a lot of people that I love and a lot of parts that I love with really, really nice people who pay me well. And by the way, it'd be great if a lot of them were in town. Well, the 3 movies I just finished were in town and met all that criteria. But, I had to be in alignment and create it within me first. And then the universe finds that magnet and joins it. It really is miraculous, but you got to do it to believe it.
I am skeptical on most things, but from the brief overview that I was able to get from the synopsis of your book, I have nothing to be skeptical about with your concepts, because they are very close to what I believe already. I am very much a go where the wind takes me type. Nomadic in spirit. It's very hard for me to stay still for too long because, I get antsy or I get bored, or, I've got this weird spirit of adventure inside of me for being an introvert. And I like to move around. I like to see what the world has.
Great. Just know that you can make money, and lots of money, moving around and being free.
Yep. And I have, well, not lots of money, but I've made money.
Well, you can make lots of money moving around and being free. So commit to that.
Trust me, I'm looking at moving already. No. I'm looking at moving already because the snow and the cold is definitely affecting several injuries, and I am not a big fan of Michigan anymore.
Yeah, I hear you there.
You say most of us are not asking and choosing what we want. Explain what you mean by that, and why do you think we're afraid to ask for what we want?
Well, we're never taught to. When you're a little kid, little kids know exactly what they want. And then they're taught that's not okay. If Santa wants you to have that, you might get it. Or you can't go to other people's house and say, I want a cookie. Can I have a cookie, please? That's not polite. We are taught not to ask for what we want. That's indoctrinated in us as very little kids. And, again, the good book says, be as a little child to enter the kingdom of heaven. If you want to get what you want and live in bliss, live in the naivete and the clarity of a little child. I want this from Santa, and I want that from the Easter Bunny, and I want this candy, and I want, I want that play date, and that's what I want.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What is Buppa La Paloo and the I Love Me's, the most powerful little bear on the planet?
Buppa La Paloo and the I Love Me's. It's the first book in a series teaching children the concepts of creation. Because again, I know how important it is that children are taught these concepts when they're small enough to really own them. This is Buppa La Paloo and the I Love Me's. The illustrations are so beautiful, by Vincenzo Laudato, an Italian artist. And the first book really teaches children to choose who they want to be, not to listen to daddy who says you're not strong enough, or grandma that says you're not tall enough, or mommy that says you're not a good friend. Or who do you want to be? Who do you choose that you want to be? Because there's a lot of adults who keep defining themselves, most of us actually, in limiting instead of empowering ways.
I have a question. How, I'm trying to think about how I want to word this, because this one just came into my head. It's not on my list that I had ready to go here.
Okay.
How do you, because I don't want it to seem like it's criticizing. How do
Okay.
you not reconcile? So what if parents get the book for their kid and get upset that it seems like you're teaching kids not to listen to their parents?
Oh, that's not what it's teaching them at all.
Well, you know how singly focused some people can end up being.
Well, those people probably would never buy the book.
That's true. My worry
The
is
people who want to empower their child in a really good, positive way of empowerment, to give them the foundation so that they, grow up to be strong, powerful adults that can create their lives in a meaningful way. They'll want to buy that book.
Yeah, because my only worry, like I was going to say, is that the concept is fine, the teaching is fine, but an adult has context to know when it's okay to implement and when it's not. Like, you don't want a kid being like, I want a cookie, and the parents telling them no, and then the kid being like, well, the book said I can have a cookie because I want it.
Yeah, but that's not what the book says. The book says, the little bear, Papalopoulos, says to him, you haven't asked the most important person. And the little boy says, well, who's that? And Bappa says, you. Who do you want to be? Well, I want to be strong, and I want to be a good friend, and that is the beginning of self-definition. And how we define ourselves are the people we become.
I like that. I really do. I like that. That definitely, that is a very good thing to be teaching kids. I think children need to have a good firm foundation in who they are and what they want to be way earlier.
Oh my God, way early.
Get them prepared for.
Yeah.
I would recommend, if you haven't already, reaching out to Miss Dolly Parton and her book club, because I think the Bappa La Paloo book series needs to be put into the hands of as many kids as possible. And I know she does that through her book drive.
Well, I'm going to take that suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah. What is the love place and why is it so important?
Well, I teach everybody to find a love place, and it's really easy. You think of something that just automatically makes you smile and opens your heart. I go right to my dog, or Hawaii, my place in Hawaii that I love, or Gabrielle when she was a baby. Anything that's unconditional that just makes you smile. So find yours. Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, see how easy that was? Now that's the place you want to create everything from. Money feels like that. And great relationships feel like that. And being successful feels like that. If you match everything to love, you will magnetize it to you.
That makes sense. We bring in what we want.
Most of us are trying to create all the stuff we want by being resentful that we don't have it. When I go speak, somebody can come up and I can say, okay, tell me what you want. Well, I don't want to have to worry about money. Okay, tell me what you want. Well, I don't like it that I don't have enough money. Good. Tell me this can go on for 20 minutes until they get so pissed at me. They go, God, I want more money. And I went, first time you've told me what you want. Now we can start doing some work. You can't create anything that you're going like this to.
It's fair.
You can't. You're not going to magnetize it to you. You'll magnetize it going away from you.
Well, yeah, because this is a repellent to most people.
Yeah. Well, to the universe, I guarantee it. And the universe doesn't judge. It just answers what you put out.
Isn't it selfish, though, to focus so much on what I want? Won't it take away from Others?
Well, I don't know. If you have more money, your consciousness gets to choose if you use it all for yourself or nefarious means, or if you do great things with your money like I do. I help a lot of my family. I bring a lot of joy to people. I support a lot of charities. You know, it's not the money, it's your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
What does your consciousness want to do with anything that you create? That's up to you. That we're right back in choice again, aren't we?
Yeah. No, and then again, another concept that we talk about a lot on my show is, helping others. I am a big proponent for small business people. I am a
Yes.
huge proponent for independent artists to get away from like the nastiness that comes with a giant record label and stuff like that. Like we play only independent musicians, and we're sponsored by only small businesses.
Yes, but I have to stop you, Christopher, because within that statement is judgment.
How so?
Well, you are. What negative word did you use when you were talking about record labels?
Nasty.
Okay. That's a perspective. That is a perspective that you have chosen to have regarding the world of music labels.
This is true. I also don't get hit for copyright with the indie artists.
But those perspectives direct energy.
That's true.
Okay.
I'd still prefer to work with the indie artists because I think they need
That's fine. You just have to understand that where there's judgment, you're oftentimes enhancing in the world what you do not want.
I can't argue.
Okay.
Okay, so how do you handle naysayers? What gets you down? Is there anything that brings you down into those depths that you try to stay away from?
I would say if there's anything, it's people trying to hurt my kid.
Mama bear syndrome.
Well, that's why I play so many strong mothers, I guess. And anybody that knows my daughter and follows her and has read her books knows her story of her divorce and what's been happening afterwards, and follows her podcasts. But when she was in 4th grade, we had a teacher who was gay and very, very angry. And he would take it out on the kids. And he had a real problem with Gabrielle because Gabrielle was very strong. And she was taught to respectfully say what she needed. So he called a meeting with me, and I took her. And I showed her how to sit there, and we listened to his side of the story. And I said, so Gabrielle, now tell us how you feel. Well, he didn't like that one bit. So he called a meeting with the headmaster. And in that meeting, he got so pissed off, he picked up a chair and threw it against the wall and walked out. And the headmaster looked at me and said, he'll get help over the summer or he won't be back. Now that led to him getting psychological help. And he came back, and do you know, he ended up being one of the best loving teachers in that school. But I was the only parent that had the guts to bring it up and bring the problems up and involve my daughter. He was making her sit right under the air conditioner vent. And she would come home every day and go, Mommy, I'm afraid I'm going to get sick. I'm so cold. And he wouldn't listen to her about a simple thing like that because he was angry within himself, and rightfully so, because he was never allowed to be who he was in the small town where he was raised, you know? So we just keep flourishing those things. It's sins of the fathers. We keep passing them down until we deal with them.
Yeah. Also, too, they shouldn't have been too surprised. You are the woman who stared down Cujo. So, an angry teacher.
By then.
Well, you were going to.
I had.
Yeah.
Yes, I had. I had done Cujo by then. Yeah.
So, an angry teacher is nothing.
For sure.
Okay, we've reached the end of the regular questions, and now we're going to move into interview roulette.
Okay.
I had you before pick 5 numbers, and these are the questions that correspond with them.
Oh, dear God. I'm so bad at this shit. All right.
I'm happy to hear you cuss. You said F this. I was like, I don't think she cusses. I'm happy to hear it.
Fuck yes, I do.
There you go. Yeah, I should have told you beforehand. You don't have to.
Have you seen my movies?
Well, movies are different. Movies are different than your personal life. You know, but I should have told you beforehand. You could have sworn if you wanted to. So anyways, first question. What is something you don't mind paying more money for?
Oh, anything for my kid.
It's a good mom.
That's true.
You want to adopt me?
Sure, baby. I got room. Come on.
Second question. How would you describe yourself to a blind person in 5 words or less?
I'm kind and I'm loving. And I have pretty blonde hair.
And a beautiful smile.
Oh, thank you.
What used to scare you as a child?
Oh. Dark closets. I was scared to death that somebody was at the back of my closet. Every night my dad had to take me back there to show me there was nobody there.
I saw an interesting thing recently is you're not actually you're not actually scared of being alone in the dark. What you're actually scared of is not being alone in the dark.
Yeah, very true.
I have quite a few of these things. What are you OCD about, if anything?
Integrity.
Upset.
It's a big thing for me. I demand it of myself, and I demand it of people that I work with and that I love.
It's a good quality to demand.
Yeah.
It's
need a lot more of it.
Yeah, I was just saying it's something that sometimes feels like it's very lacking in the world.
And on another note, shit that's piled high in my house. My mother had shit piled, she had to work pretty much 14 hours a day with traveling back and forth. And so if stuff gets piled up too much in my house, it just drives me crazy.
I'm right there with you. I need clean surfaces.
Yeah.
I grew up, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents because my home life was traumatic, but not good. Challenging. There you go. So I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and my grandmother's house was impeccably clean. Like, this is the place that dust bunnies go to die.
Yeah.
Like, if dust bunnies are real and they have a community, when they step outside, whatever laws they have, they went to my grandmother's house to be taken care of.
Love it.
Now, because I'm a creative mind, my workspace is usually very cluttered. However, everything else needs to be clean, surfaced, and, everything, a place for everything and everything in its place.
I'm with you.
And it drives me up the wall when it's not.
Me too.
So, yeah, I understand that I don't want to see things piled up. Unless they're books. I'm okay with books being piled up because I run out of space on my bookshelf real quick.
Well, I have a whole office of books, so I keep them back there.
All right. Last question.
Yes.
When people look you in the eyes, what do you hope they see?
Love. That's a no-brainer to me.
I want to tell you, they see it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this whole interview, your eyes have been bright and happy and full of joy and love.
Thank you. That's who I am, and that's who I want everybody to see, because then it encourages them to live there too.
Okay, Dee, I'm going to post links and everything, but go ahead and tell them where they can find your radio show and where they can get your books.
Well, if you want a signed book, you can go to iamdeewallace.com. Can't get easier than that. You can order any of my books on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And you know, I'm all over social media. You can find me everywhere. So,
Dee, I want to thank you for joining me today.
such a pleasure. So many great questions. We've had a really, really meaningful discussion.